Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ocean Connections. We are very excited to be introducing you to our first virtual field trip today. Hey, we're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and one of the things that we kind of want to stress right off the bat is the goal of this is to be interactive, fun learning. So a couple of ways that you guys can help. First of all, if you have a question as we kind of go through the program today, please comment below, ask us. We will stop periodically during the program and be able to answer those questions. And if we can't get to them, I promise we will do it immediately following. The other thing is let us know where you are watching from, because our goal is to make this a resource to all of you, the kids and adults and parents, a great learning opportunity. And this is Facebook Live. This is where it's going to be hosted every Tuesday and Friday morning at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. So let's get on with things. My name is Shelley. I am president here at Ocean Connections, and I'm standing in front of our marine mammal environment or habitat. It is a large pool, not just the kind of pool that you guys go swimming in the backyard. This is a saltwater pool. It's an environment, a habitat for marine mammals, specifically pinnipeds. It's big. It's 250,000 gallons of controlled salt water. We have to balance that water out so that it is very comparable to water in the open ocean. Only one difference, this water is a lot cleaner. All right, so the pool is pretty big. It's also very deep. It's 18 feet deep, and it is home to 12 different marine mammals. They are California sea lions and harbor seals. And today we're going to talk about what is a pinniped. We have a couple of them over here, and they're waiting for us. Pinniped is actually a word that means winged-footed. So let's take a look at his flippers, because that's the first thing that we're going to talk about. Pinniped is a carnivorous animal. It's an aquatic animal. They don't have limbs or feet or hands like we have. They have flippers. These flippers are very important for their survival because mainly they spend their time in the water. So we're going to take a moment before we get too deep into that, and we better say hello to these guys. They're very special to us. So these are harbor seals. Working with this animal is Emmy, and she's one of the animal care trained specialists that work here at Ocean Connections. Scooter is the animal that she's working with. Scooter is a Pacific harbor seal.
Good job,
we think
buddy.
he's awful handsome, don't you?
Good.
We also have a friend of his here. Let's go meet her. This is Satara. Satara is an Atlantic harbor seal. Can you say hello, Missy? Thank you. Satara is almost 25 years old. Let's talk about them for a moment, because a lot of people, when they first come to us, say, how in the world do you tell the difference between your animals? Have you guys ever looked at a group of puppies or kittens, and when you first look at them, oh my goodness, it's really hard to tell the difference between them. But you know what? The longer you look at them, you start to notice that, they all look a little different. They have different faces, they have different sizes, they have different shapes. Well, in our case, they have different whiskers. They have different faces. They all look very different. And most importantly, they all have their own individual personalities. Well, I'll tell you what, over the next couple of months, you're going to get to know all of our marine mammals a little more personally, because they're all very, very special. So let's start by talking about where do harbor seals come from? So harbor seals get their name because you know where they're commonly found? In harbors. These animals spend most of their life living in the water. Not all of their life, but most of it. Take a look at their bodies. They're very, very prepared for life in the water. They're very round and robust. They have flippers, and you can guess what those flippers are for. They actually help them to maneuver, to steer, to swim very nicely through the water. They're very agile as they're showing off with that great little dance. That makes them very flexible predators. Harbor seals are typically intertidal coastal animals. They most often are found, within 12 miles of a shoreline. And these animals can be found in almost every ocean. We see them both on the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean, but they stay pretty close to the shoreline. There's a reason for that. Guess where all of their food lives? If you're watching our trainers, you're seeing that these animals eat fish. We're feeding them a variety of fish. It's capelin and herring. They swallow all of that fish whole. There's no time for chewing fish when you need to eat 10 pounds of fish every single day. So these are called harbor seals. You also may see them on land because, as you notice right now, they're up on land. They can easily get their bodies up onto rocks or sandy beaches or up onto ice floes because they can be found all the way up through Alaska. They can even be found on mud flats. They don't spend a lot of time on land because, remember, they go to the ocean to eat. So they have to rely upon fish. That is what they eat. They're a carnivorous mammal. But if you're lucky, you'll catch a glimpse of them. Now, when you look at this animal, you go, they're pretty big. They're a seal, but you know what? Seals come in all different sizes. There is no doubt about it. They're not the smallest seal, and they're not the largest seal. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at them real up close, and let's see how big Scooter is. One of the things that we train our animals for is to be measured, and this is really important so that we can track their growth. So I tell you what, I'll hold the back of it. Let's see how long Scooter is. He is a full-grown male, which means that he is currently weighing about 230 pounds. And he measures, let's put it right over the top of him there. And there we go.
Good job, bud. We are right at 5 feet.
And he measures 5 feet long. Think about that. 5 feet? Well, I'm only 5 feet 4 inches. So he's almost as tall as I am, only he's laying down. Now, seals come in all different sizes. So you can't look at this animal and say that's a seal. There are bigger seals and there are smaller seals. The largest seal out there is called the southern elephant seal. And as a comparative, they are 20 feet long. What does that mean? Scooter's 5 feet. If you line up 4 Scooters in a row, that's how long your southern elephant seal is going to be. And they are ginormous, weighing over 6,000 pounds as adults. So, we can't just tell what kind of seal they are by the size of the animal. We have to look at a lot of different things. How do we know that this is a seal? Well, let's look very, very closely at them. Let's look at 3 characteristics that always will tell you what kind of pinniped you have. Look at the side of Scooter's head. If you look closely, you're gonna see an ear. But it's not like our ear, is it? It doesn't dangle too much off to the side. You gotta look really, really closely to see it because it's internal. It's called an internal pinnae. And the really great thing about it is that there's a little flap of skin there that allows the animal to close off their ear canal so that when they dive, and believe me, they can dive over 1,500 feet down in the ocean. When they dive, they don't have to get water in their ears. Now, you know what? They don't usually dive 1,500 feet because there's nothing down there that's that deep. Remember, I told you, these animals like to live in shallow coastal water. All right. Another way to tell the difference between a seal and their cousin, the sea lion, that we'll be meeting later, is to look at their flippers. Let's go in and take a good look at that front flipper of Satara's. Now, a couple of things. It's not very big. Brittany, kind of line your hand up there. It's only the size of Brittany's hand. Not very big. And it has nails on it. Those nails are super important if you have an itch. But they also really help that animal to climb up onto rocks or to pull their body up onto ice floes. So that's a great, easy way to tell a seal's flippers, because you'll notice they're going to be very different than their cousin, the sea lion. Now, they have flippers on the front and they have flippers on the back. Can we kind of turn her to the side a little bit? And we'll go take a look at her back flippers. The back flippers also have nails. I'm just going to spread those out for you real quick. They also have nails, but they're not quite as long. But look at the webbing in those back flippers. That webbing really helps seals to move through the water. And you'd be surprised at how quickly they can travel through the water. All right, another way to tell the difference between a seal and a sea lion. You know what? This is the best way if you have the ability to see these animals on land. And that's to watch how they move on land. Because remember I told you that their limbs were flippers? Well, their flippers help them to swim and to steer, but they don't do a lot for helping them to move on land. They kind of look like an airplane as they move on land, don't they? Skidding along on their belly. Or a caterpillar or an inchworm. They have super strong stomach muscles. And those flippers kind of hang off to the side. They don't do a lot for helping their locomotion on land. One more super cool characteristic I want to point out about a seal while we have them up here is let's go in and take a look at Scooter's body. We're going to come up really, really close because I want you to see the fact that they're a mammal, and that means that they have fur. It's hard to see that fur until Emmy roughs it up for us. It's not very long, and yeah, it doesn't really do anything for insulation, but it is there. They're a mammal, so they have fur, and they have beautiful coat patterns. Now, a couple of things about that. Usually harbor seals are one of two types. Imagine kind of layers. And a harbor seal, if you take away all of the spots, usually has either a light or a dark base layer. Now, the animals that have a light base layer typically have dark spots. But you also have animals that have a dark base color and then their spots are lighter. Which one do you think that Scooter is? Here's the super cool thing. Those spots are called rosettes, and they are a fantastic way for the animal to camouflage in while it's in the water. Hey, even if they're out on a pebbly or a sandy beach, it's a great form of camouflage. And really, really interesting is that those spots or rosettes, they're like fingerprints. You know, we all have different fingerprints, every single one of us. We're not the same, and neither is the pattern on a seal's body. So let's take a look at that. Look at Scooter. You can see, I bet you answered that he kind of has a black base, a dark base, and he has lighter rosettes or spots with a dark center. Let's go take a look at Sitara. Remember, every single seal has their own beautiful coat pattern. Look at her. Once you start looking at her, boy, does she look different than that. What do you think her base coat is? Light or dark? We kind of think it's light because look at the spots. They are far darker. Kind of an interesting fact. So you know what? We are going to say goodbye to our seals for this segment. Gosh, they have been fantastic. Now, an interesting fact here is that our seals aren't really going anywhere. They're just going back into the water for some free time. But we're going to say goodbye to them because we have another friend that we're going to be bringing out for you. So I'm going to take a moment And I just want to recap that, hey, we're doing our first virtual field trip at Ocean Connections. We just met our wonderful seals, an Atlantic harbor seal and a Pacific harbor seal. Let me stop for a moment and find out if we have any questions that we need to answer.
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions. So Cassandra would like to know, how do they defend themselves?
Oh, that's a great question. How do they defend themselves? And I bet you guys can kind of guess what their predators might be. I'll let you answer that online. They can defend themselves in a couple of ways. Well, they're fantastic swimmers. And so they're probably going to hope to outmaneuver their predator a little bit. They can be fast, they can turn quickly, and they also, if there's a rock or there's somewhere for them to jump up onto, they're going to try to get out of harm's way. But those nails on their flippers, when they're irritated with one another or something, they tend to swat at it. And that's a pretty good stay away, back up. I do not want to be bothered right now. Like every single animal, guess what's in their mouth? Well, not every animal, every mammal, every carnivorous mammal. Guess what's in their mouth? Pearly white teeth. And those teeth are really, really sharp. They use those teeth to grasp and to catch fish and to swallow them whole. Any animal that has teeth certainly has the ability to defend themselves by using those teeth.
Kate would like to know, what does their skin feel like?
Oh, what does their skin feel like? Yeah, you know, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, they're going to be super like slimy. And they're not at all. They are very soft because they do have fur. And when they're wet, the best way I can describe them is kind of like a wet inner tube. Kind of rubbery.
And Jake from Whitefish Bay, I think you might have gotten a chance to actually see Scooter come up on land, but Jake would like to know how seals get out of the water and onto land.
Oh gosh, you know, it's so funny. When you call your seal up on land, they have to dive down into the water and then they kind of shoot up onto land because they propel themselves. They use those strong front flip or those strong back flippers to push their body through that water, and they kind of pop out of the water. All right, we're going to get back to questions in just a moment because it looks like we have another animal to introduce you to. This animal is also a pinniped. However, he is a sea lion. Now, there are 7 different species of sea lions. The most popular of all the species is the California sea lion. And that is exactly what my friend Diego is. Let's see if we can get Diego to say hello to us this morning. Thank you, Diego. Guess where they get their name sea lion? They're often known by fishermen as being the lions of the sea because of their roaring ability. And they're loud. These animals are super gregarious. What does that mean? It means that they're very social animals. Our sea lions, and we have a lot of them, there are 10 of them here in this environment. These sea lions love to play hard. They're very, very social. And at nighttime, they all haul out on land, usually under a heat lamp in the winter, and they spend a lot of time cuddling up with each other. Now let's talk about what their natural habitat is. I told you that Diego was a California sea lion. So where do you think he lives? If he was out in the wild, you are right if you guessed along the coast of California. California sea lions only come from our western coast, which is the Pacific Ocean. They can be found mainly in the water. It's very common to see them up on buoys, however, or sandy beaches. Remember, they're social, they're gregarious. So if you're seeing one of them out in the wild, you're probably seeing several of them if you look hard. Now, sea lions, like seals, come in all different sizes and shapes and colors. We saw that Scooter was about 5 feet long. A male California sea lion is actually much longer than this. We know that Diego is over 8 feet in length. If Emmy were to take those flippers and stretch them all the way out to the back. And a male California sea lion at full size can weigh over 750 pounds. Diego's not quite that big. He's one of the slimmer sea lions. He's just under 400 pounds. Now there's a big difference between the males and the females, and we actually have another animal which we'll just pan over to here. Our oldest California sea lion at Ocean Connections is Micaiah. She is almost 27 years old. And you know what? She's just hanging out. She's our grandma of the group. She was our first-born California sea lion way back in 1993. A long, long time ago. Take a look at her though. Notice her head? It's kind of flat on top. And that's an easy way to tell the difference between a male or a female California sea lion. With maturity, male California sea lions develop what's called a sagittal crest. And Emmy was just kind of giving Diego a nice little itch on top of a little scratch on top of his head, touching his sagittal crest. That crest becomes very large and pronounced the older a male gets. And they kind of use it to communicate between other males to say, hey, I'm the big king. I am the dominant animal. Now there are other types of sea lions. There are very small sea lions like the Galapagos sea lion that weighs over only 150 pounds. And the largest of all of the sea lions is the Stellar sea lion. The Stellar sea lion, this great big guy over here, can weigh over 2,500 pounds. Now, we have a very talented educator who decided to make this beautiful painting for you guys to kind of give you an accurate view of how different the sizes are between all of the sea lions. There is a huge difference. And they all also can look different. So they can have different colorations in their fur. But they basically all look the same. And we're gonna talk again what the difference is between a seal and a sea lion and what these animals all have in common. So, before we do that, I want to remind you, however, that he's a mammal, he has fur. It's even harder to see on him than it was on our seals. Let's go in and take a look. Now when Emmy roughs that up, you're going to be able to see that there is fur there. Interestingly enough, on California sea lions, that fur tends to be darker the younger they are. And as an animal ages, it's not uncommon for us to see them kind of get blonde. Now, they also can look very different when they're dry. These animals love the sunshine. If you've been along the beaches in California, you might have been lucky enough to see a group or a colony of them all hauled out on land, cuddled up together, and they look different than this. When they dry their fur out, they are fluffy as can be. They look like a very adorable stuffed animal. Don't approach them though. We're going to talk about that later because that stuffed animal is alive and that would be very, very dangerous. So let's remember the differences between seals and sea lions and how you can tell them apart. Look at Diego's head. His ears look so different than our seal ears. His ears are external ears. They're on the side of his head. You can see them very, very easily. They kind of dangle like ours did. It's very easy to see. They're still folded because he has that great adaptation to prevent him from getting water inside his ears when he dives. They also have humongous front flippers. Take a look at this front flipper. Remember when Brittany held Satara's front flipper and it was only as big as her hand? Take a look at that. Diego's front flipper is big, powerful, beautiful, a lot bigger than Emmy's hand. And he uses those front flippers to help him swim. When he swims, he kind of pushes his front flippers together like this, in this kind of a motion, which allows him to jet through the water very, very quickly. And it looks like we're gonna get a demonstration as he leaps and porpoises across the pool. This is a fantastic adaptation. We got asked earlier, how do marine mammals, seals and sea lions, avoid their predators? Boy, did you just get a great demonstration. A sea lion actually has the ability to porpoise or leap out of the water, and they are so flexible that they can literally change directions while in the air. It also allows them to take a breath of air so that they can swim a little bit longer. All right, well, we're almost done kind of reviewing the differences between seals and sea lions, except for one thing. Take a look at how Diego is moving on land. Well, not right now, because he's showing you his favorite imitation of how his cousin the seal moves. Can we see that one more time, Emmy? Let's remind everybody. Diego, how do seals move? That's right, they crawl on their bellies. Diego doesn't have to move like this, however. He has the ability to walk or run very easily, very quickly, by moving his hind flippers up underneath his belly. And they can be very, very fast. Now, while I said he lives along the California coastline, you can easily see that this animal is very prepared to live life in the water, but to spend a considerable amount of time on land. We often get asked, how long do they live? That's a super good question. So out in the wild right now, life is just tougher. That's all I can say about it at the moment. It's harder. There's a lot of worries for these animals. And so we're seeing animals live anywhere between 8 and 14 years. However, if they're within our care and they get veterinary care, all of the fish that they want to eat, and we are able to take great care of them, then we are seeing these animals live almost to 30 years of age. It's really exciting. And we have the opportunity to have them with us for a long time. All right, guys. So you know what? Before we wrap up with sea lions, do we have questions?
We've got a couple of them. We answered how long they live for. Amanda would like to know if we ever have like hands-on programs with our seals and sea lions.
We of course do. You know what? We're so lucky because we have these wonderful animal ambassadors who help us to teach. So all of our programs are hands-on. And you can go to our website. It's oceanconnections.org. Take a look. We have summer camps. We have individual meet and greet programs. Hopefully pretty soon all of those programs and our daily demonstration at the zoo, hopefully they're going to be open. You can enroll in any of the summer camps and the programs though, and we hope to see you soon. And yep, they are hands-on.
Debbie would like to know how we acquired Diego.
Oh, well, that's a great story. Diego was born here. I will tell you that we used to have one of the most successful breeding programs of California sea lions in the United States. In the last few years, the need to rescue animals and provide a forever home for these animals that are unable to make it in the wild made us completely stop our breeding program. So we're not doing that anymore, but we are rescuing. Diego was one of our animals born here.
All right, I think we have 2 more questions.
Okay.
Dina would like to know how they protect their young.
Well, mothers are very protective of their young. Our mothers stay with their young. Seals, actually, the mothers only stay with the young for about 3 weeks, and then the seal is off and on its own. California sea lion mothers stay with their young for sometimes over a year, mainly because they nurse that baby for that long. These are marine mammals, right? So they have live babies, and the moms nurse them. So the mothers can become aggressive at any kind of an intruder that they may not trust, and they will certainly do everything to protect that baby. Now, Did you have another one, Brittany?
Yeah, just one more. Cole would like to know, do they swim faster than sharks?
Well, I can't answer that question for you. I don't know that. I don't know how fast a shark swims, but here's what I will say about it. They are fast, and the advantage these guys have is, see how Diego's bending over backwards there? That is because he lacks a clavicle bone. A clavicle bone is your shoulder bone. We can't bend over backwards, but he doesn't have a clavicle bone. Because of that, as he swims through the water, he's able to change directions very, very quickly, almost instantaneously. So sometimes they can outmaneuver sharks as well as maybe outswim some of them, depending on the shark. Now, one of the things I want to talk to you guys about before we wrap up is, you know, these animals, they're here, they are trained. They trust us. We spend hours and hours every single day working with them, developing a relationship. If you're out along one of the coastlines and you're lucky enough to be able to see animals out in the wild, please remember, they do not trust you. They are protected under something called the Marine Mammal Protection Act, which protects them from hunting and harassment. And that means you cannot and you should not approach them. One, it's illegal. We want them to actually be afraid of people. We want them to live successfully in the wild. It's also dangerous, both to the animal and to you. So if they're in the wild, make sure you look at them from a distance. You know, we're so glad that you joined us today, and we hope that we filled some of your morning with some great interactive learning. As you kind of go through the weekend here, since we're talking about pinnipeds, I'm going to remind you to kind of act like a leopard seal today. What's a leopard seal? A lot of you know leopard seals from some of the Disney movies. Leopard seals are solitary animals, and that means they like a lot of distance between them and any of their friends. They're super good at communicating. They can be social and still keep a distance. And so that is our challenge to you this weekend, as we remind you to be safe and to stay healthy. If you loved our program, we certainly hope to see you next Tuesday again. We're going to be talking at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time about amazing marine animal adaptations. And we hope that you will join us. All you have to do is like our Facebook page, Ocean Connections, and we're going to remind you of that. We also are going to download this program within the next 24 hours onto a public Google Drive. We'll put the link up on our Facebook page, and teachers, parents, you can go to these programs and utilize them whenever you want to. We hope that this is a great resource for all of you. If you love the work that we do, check us out on our website. It's oceanconnections.org. We're a private nonprofit, and if you have the ability to support us, our wonderful Flippered friends absolutely say thank you for that.